Good morning, students. So in the last video we discussed till Needham-Schroeder protocol version 4 and some little bit information about the Kerberos. So here consider a scenario with multiple users and multiple servers in an organization such as a university campus. A user may then wish to access different resources such as file server or an email server. So one possibility is for the user to have multiple passwords on each of these servers, or to remember multiple passwords for a single user might be a difficult one, so the user may give the same password for all different types of servers. A user could use the same password for all servers, but distributing and maintaining a password file across multiple servers poses a security risk. A password-based system should ensure the following. The password should not be transmitted in the clear. It should not be possible to launch dictionary attacks. The password itself should not be stored on the authentication server. Rather, it should be stored cryptographically, transformed before being stored. It should not be possible to launch dictionary attacks by obtaining a file containing cryptographically transformed version of the password. A user enters her password only once during the login. Thereafter, he should not have to re-enter her password to access other servers for the duration of the session. The password should reside on a machine for a few milliseconds after being entered by the user. So, to address these issues, the Kerberos protocol is implemented, which is developed at MIT. Kerberos has been through many revisions. The latest version is a Kerberos version 5. As we have used the KDC in Needham-Schroeder protocol, this KDC task is divided into two entities in the Kerberos. One is called as authentication server and another is called as a ticket granting server. The sequence of messages exchanged between the client, the Kerberos server and the requester server is shown in the following figure. So here the job of the authentication server is to provide a ticket, which we call it as a ticket granting ticket, to the client who wish to have a communication with the ticket granting server. So that ticket plays the role of an authenticator. So by producing that ticket granting ticket to the ticket granting server, the client may obtain the permission to make use of the server which provides the services required by the client. So by using that service granting ticket, the client can communicate with the server. So this is what exactly the sequence. So first, a client sends a message so as to get the ticket granting ticket, and this is what exactly the syntax. Client sends a request to the authentication server by sending the identity of the client, then with whom he want to communicate, he want to get a ticket of that is TGS, ticket granting server, the times, which is nothing but a state information time, that is start, session time and the duration of the time, and the nonce so as to indicate it's a fresh message created by the client, not a old one, so as to overcome from the replay attack. Once this information is read by the authentication server prepares a reply which contains the identity of the client, then the ticket which the client has to produce to the TGS, that is ticket granting server, and a session key which is to be used to encrypt the message between the client and the TGS, that is KC, TGS, along with the nonce created by the client and the start of the duration. So this information is sent to the client from the authentication server, where if you see the ticket of TGS contains identity of the client, identity of the TGS, the session key which the authentication server has created to communicate between the client and the TGS, and the state information. Once these two messages have been exchanged between the client and the authentication server, the third message client prepares to send it to the ticket granting server to get service granting ticket. So in this message it includes the identity of the server with whom the client want to communicate or want to get a service, then the duration, then client sends the identity of itself so as to prove with whom the server want to communicate in form of authenticator C, then the ticket which the authentication server has given to the client, and the R2 which is a nonce which indicates the fresh new message created by the client. Now if you see the authenticator C, it contains the identity of the client and the timestamp 1, which is encrypted by using the key which is shared between the client and the TGS. Once the TGS receives this message from the client, it reads all the information, then prepares a reply which includes the identity of the client and the ticket which he can use it to communicate with the server, that is ticket yes, then the identity of the server and the session key which should be used to communicate between the client and the server, that is KC, yes, nonce, that is R2, so as to indicate a fresh message, and the state information. So by using this ticket, that is now the client can communicate with the server. So the client prepares a message so as to send it to the server which contains the ticket S which it has received from the TGS, and the authenticator C so as to prove the identity of the client to the server. Once the server receives this information, it sends a reply to the client by incrementing the timestamp value which the client has sent in the previous message. So this is how the communication takes place between the client and the server. Once the session key which has been generated, that is KC, S, has been received from both the client and as well as the server side, now they will use that key to have the further communication during that session. Once the session completed, suppose once again the client and the server want to have a communication, they are not using the same session key, again they need to follow the same steps, all 6 steps they need to follow. So the last point of the authentication 2 is called as a biometrics. A biometric is a biological feature or a characteristics of a person that uniquely identifies him or her over his or her lifetime. Some of the common forms of a biometric identification include face recognition, voice recognition, manual signatures, and fingerprints. So most recently, patterns in the iris of the human eye and DNA can also be used as a biometric features. A biometric links the identity of a person to his or her physiological or behavioral characteristics. The two main processes involved in a biometric system are enrollment and a recognition. Enrollment is nothing but, in this phase, a subject biometric sample is acquired. The essential features of a samples are extracted to create a reference template. Sometimes multiple samples are taken and multiple templates are stored to increase the accuracy of a match in the subsequent recognition phase. Second step is the recognition, in which a fresh biometric sample of a person is taken and that fresh biometric sample is compared with the reference templates which have been stored in the database to determine the extent of a match. The biometrics are used in two different scenarios. First one, we can use this biometrics for the authentication purpose, or which is also called as identity verification, in which a biometric system stores the login name and the biometric sample pairs. During a login attempt, a biometric sample of the user is taken. The biometric sample is compared with the sample stored on the server. The user is authenticated only if a match between the two occurs. A second one is identification. A biometric sample of the subject is taken from the subject's identity is not presumed to be known beforehand. So here subject's biometric sample is compared with the samples in the database to determine if a match exists with any of them. So in the database we have a different person's essential features of a sample, and those features are going to compare with a fresh new sample, and if there is a match occurs, then we are going to identify that person. Then the characteristics of a good biometric include the following: universality, uniqueness, permanence. All humans should be able to contribute a sample of the biometric. Second one is a uniqueness. Biological samples taken from two different humans should be sufficiently different that they can be distinguished by machine intelligence. Then third one is a permanence. The biometric should not change over time. The samples acquired during the enrollment may be several years old. If you take a fresh new sample of the subject and if you compare that one with the database which has been taken several years old data, even though the match can be found. Then there are two case studies we are going to study which we can be used it as a biometrics. One is a fingerprint, another is a iris scan. A fingerprint is an impression left by the ridges and valleys of a human finger. Each individual fingerprints exhibit distinctive patterns. During the enrollment and the recognition phase, an image of a fingerprint is taken by placing it on the plane surface of a scanner. During the recognition phase, the input template must match with the patterns which are stored in the database. The simplest approach involves identification of a distinctive patterns formed by ridges. So these are called as singularities. There are arc, loop and holes. The ridges start from one side of the finger and forms an arc and ends on the other side. The loops are nothing but the ridge starts and ends at the same side of the finger. And the holes are nothing but appear as closed cycles or spirals in a fingerprint. So by using this, we can go for identifying the fingerprints of a different persons, and we can go for matching with the fingerprints which are already stored in the database. So next is the iris scan. The iris is a thin opaque diaphragm of a smooth muscle situated in front of the lens in the human eye. Its annular shape surrounds the pupil. The intricate patterns on the iris appear to be unique. Two identical twins have iris patterns that are different as though of two unrelated individuals. The patterns of an iris are also stable with the age. So with this we complete the third chapter of the third module of cryptography, network security and a cyber law.